a thrilling and chaotic race in Hawaii. The Nitro National Series returns stateside for some more road course racing action, this time just a stone's throw away from Milwaukee. Welcome everyone to the One-Up Nitro National Series live coverage from Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. I'm Devin Fair alongside James Ellison, here to bring you all the action. Well, a lot has changed so far since we got back to racing, but one thing has not changed, James, and that is Fingai Saitomi Motorsports. With all three of their cars in the top 3 in points, they gotta be feeling like they're on top of the world right now.
Yeah, but they can't really get too confident because, you get too confident and then things start falling apart, you start really getting upset because you allowed yourself to think too far ahead, and I know that team owner Jeffrey Fingai is not trying to let any of his drivers or himself think too far ahead because while the whole team across the top 3 divisions has been doing really well so far this season, they still got a long way to go in order to lock up potentially a triple championship run.
And one team that may stand in their way is Venta Motorsports. Eric DeMax and AJ Zhao showed in the last race that they both got speed, and AJ Zhao especially has been one fast contender. Now, one thing to note going into this race, we have a couple penalties, those being Brandon Smith and Paul Villalobos. They both start this race with 10-point penalties heading in Road America. This is especially bad for Villalobos because he's dropped 3 spots in points since the last time we saw him. It could be a turnaround day for him today, though. He starts on pole today, and he's been consistently fast all weekend. We'll have to see if the Chevrolets can dethrone the Fords here today in Road America.
Yeah, that's the big thing to watch out for. And you also got to watch out for some of the other manufacturers that could play a factor in this. You got some Toyotas up there. You got Hondas up there. Of course, and for Toyotas right now, that leading the way on that is Ashton Blevins, our modified champion from 2025. Terzic, Arnold from Farrago with the Hondas. There's a number of drivers, manufacturers and teams aside, who all would love nothing more than to be able to say, we beat Fingai Saitomi.
It should be interesting, especially with how many manufacturers are represented in this starting lineup. But with that, we can show you how they line up for today's race at Road America. And it's Paul Villalobos with his second pole of the season. He'll be starting alongside Eric DeMax in the 16. 2 Chevrolets lining up the front row. Right behind them, a Ford of David Meske in the 29, alongside AJ Zhao in the 98. In row 3, you got Braden Varga in the 9 for Team Duke, and the 22 with DJ Curtis for Fingai Saitomi. Ashton Blevins, Yadish Terzic line up row 4 in the 77 and 57 respectively. And then rounding out the top 10 is Brian Arnold in the 01 for Farrago and the 92 for Brandon Smith. They'll be starting right in front of Roberts Racing teammates Riley Hooper and Angel Gutierrez. One thing I noticed in qualifying, James, one manufacturer that hasn't really been represented in the top 20 is Dodge, especially with the teams of Standards Performance Autosport and Finswater Australia Racing. They've been unnaturally off their game here at Road America, but the highest one being Nick Breeding, who's just starting inside the top 15.
Yeah, that is a little bit odd, especially considering the stellar run they had out in Hawaii. I mean, you look at the runs of like Noah Hart, Fidel Iglesias, who's making his second ever start in one-up competition. Oddly enough, right there in front of Hart by 1 row, in the middle of the field. It's going to take a lot to see if they can rebound, and I know one driver who really wants to rebound, and that is in the Dodge camp, and that is Cody Lamas.
Cody Lamas has been unnaturally slow since our return. He's starting 17th today. He could still be a contender heading into this race, but it's a big question mark as to how much he's going to be able to do here. Another driver starting deep in the field, Cameron Lassard in the 54. After that very good performance at Hawaii, he's starting deep in the field today. And of course, Stormbreak Motorsports representing Mercedes would like to have a good run, but right now it's not looking through to Justin Henley, who's just returning in the 33, as well as the 11 of Ludovic Charette, who's starting in 34th.
But the advantage they have is, especially for Charette and all others who would normally be in go or go home with a much larger entry list, I should say, is we only have 40 entries here. So we are 2 spots shy of a full field, which definitely makes everybody who is stuck below the cut line on owner points, it gives them a shot at maybe, just maybe, being able to actually not only get more experience if they're looking for it, but also get points that they desperately need.
And that top 30 battle is definitely going to be interesting, especially with Justin Whitmer, Negatu Kanauka, and Alexander Rowe all being within there. They all need good runs to stay in the top 30, because if we ever have go or go home again, that they're gonna need to get precious points to make sure they stay in this hunt. With that, though, we're just about ready to get you some coverage from Road America. We got 19 laps scheduled for today's race, and it should be a good one. We'll have to see if the Chevrolets, the Toyotas, or the Hondas can get thrown to fours today, or we'll see if Finyai Saitome Motorsports can continue to dominate. Don't go anywhere. We got lots of racing action coming for you up next. Set to go green from Road America, with Paul Villalobos and Eric Nemax leading this field of 40 up the hill toward the green flag. The one-up Nitro National Series make its debut in Road America. Will the Chevrolet be able to win, or will the Fords continue their dominance, or will someone else take the crown? We'll have to see if they come up to the start-finish line. We're waiting for the green flag. It's out, and we are racing in Road America.
See DJ Curtis already trying to continue what he started at Hawaii with this stretch of road racing. Trying his hardest to go ahead and make some moves, but it's not exactly going to work right now. Meanwhile, Eric Demax, we know he had speed at Hawaii. You mentioned it, but he's definitely got something to prove after what happened there.
Villalobos cleared Demax for the lead. Demax is going to slide in a second, right in front of David Metzke. Side by side, DJ Curtis, AJ Zhao for fourth. And right behind them, Yais Terzic, Braden Varga, side by side for sixth. Deeper in the field, there's probably even more battles, but we're focused up here on AJ Zhao and DJ Curtis. As they head into the tricky turn 3, it's Villalobos leading Demax and Metzke. As they head through the turn, they're Braden Varga in the 9. Right behind them, battles between Yais Terzic and Ashton Blevins. Brian Arnold back there, Brandon Smith. A lot of action going on here. Early as Terzic clears for, I believe that is the 6th spot.
Yeah, he's already gained a couple spots here on the get-go here. And again, he's been having a good run most races going. Last week, he had a real good run going, and it got kind of messed up. But I don't think that's stopped him so far. I mean, he's determined to continue trying to prove that he not only belongs here, but that he can get the results that are needed. As we look at Jared Shank there trying to make a move on breeding.
Shank had a really good run, both practice and qualifying. He's qualifying inside the top 15, but right now just trying to hold on to whatever spots he can. As Breeding gets past him, I believe, for 14th place. Back up front is still Villalobos ahead of Demax. Here's Yais Terzic under pressure from Brandon Smith. He's trying to make something happen after the disappointment that was Hawaii and the penalty that came with it. But Villalobos is going to lead him back past the final corner, and he's going to lead. Looks like he's going to lead lap 1 here in Road America.
Yeah, Demax is hot on his heels, but Villalobos, we mentioned it before. He's won trucks a couple times. He's won at least a couple times. He's got his first superstar win already. The only thing now he needs to complete the trifecta and join that slowly growing list of drivers who won in all 3 of the national touring divisions, as we look at Blevins and Smith here, is that Nitro win.
And he might have it here, but Demax is putting plenty of pressure on him for that lead. Metzke right behind them, seeing if he can take advantage of any mistakes from the other drivers. As we see, he's side by side now with Eric Demax. That is for 2nd place. That could be significant for Demax if he falls back here to these fourths here. DJ Curtis is right behind them. He's looking for something.
Yeah, but he doesn't know which way to go. I think he's decided that early in this race, maybe following whoever has the best line, which, with all those rights and lefts, it's hard to tell sometimes. But you see right now, the 29 and the 16 are pretty even. Well, not so much anymore. Metzke is 2nd.
Yep, Metzke gets past Demax for 2nd. That's going to move him up a spot, and that could potentially lead to him catching Villalobos here in just a second. Here's Brandon Smith and Yais Terzic side by side. These two definitely have some history after Hawaii. You may remember there's quite a few runs they had at that track, especially early in the race when they got into each other.
Yeah, they. Although I would say Smith's probably going to mind himself a little bit since he's got that penalty, but I would say Terzic is definitely not going to forget that whole mess at Hawaii. A good run, messed up by some mistakes made, and honestly, I think right now he just wants to ride along, but he knows that if the 92 does anything, he's going to be ready.
And early in the race is when you want to get in those positions because they don't have any caution scheduled or pit stops for this race. So you're going to have to get all you can going into this race. As we see the Max once again going after David Metzke. He's trying to get that second place back after losing it back in turn 3, but he's on the inside line. That historically hasn't really worked in the past, but we'll see if it works for him here.
Yeah, as he tries and tries, but that 29 is pretty strong. Looks like Messi's going to hold off for now, but maybe not completely. He hasn't cleared the 16 just yet. No, DeMax is going to make another move on his right side.
Still side by side. This is a really good battle we have right here, and DJ Curtis is also right there. He might be spilling blood and water. He's going for a podium position here in this 22 car. Don't forget about AJ Dow as well, right behind them. This is that classic FPM versus Venta battle, like the one we saw in Hawaii.
Yeah, but the challenge here is, this is for the spoiler right now is the Robbers Racing car and driver up ahead of them. They got to sort themselves out here and try to make a move on catch up to the 66 to try to make a move on him. And if they're going to do it, they need to try to do it early because the longer they wait, the harder it's going to be to catch.
And don't forget the competition behind them. Braden Varga and the 9 was all over them just then, as well as Brandon Smith, who's now looking to make a move on Braden Varga. And Ryan Arnold, I believe, has fallen back a little bit. He's fallen back into the top 10, I believe. He's right behind Ashton Blevins and under pressure from Riley Hooper in the 69. Behind them is a bit of a battle, I think, between Angel Gutierrez, Nick Creedy, and Jared Shank. That seems to have sorted itself out. But right now we're looking at Riley Hooper, who's been having a really good string of races lately.
Yeah, he's doing good. He looked like it might have just been the shadows, but I thought for a second there got a little wobbly, but he's not losing anything. And sure, he's got Gutierrez and breeding all over him right now, but he would love to have a very good day here. And then so far, it's not. I mean, he's not in the top 10, but he's very close to it and could have a chance to capitalize if one of the top 10 makes a mistake.
He and the rest of the competition. As we see, we got a car on pit road. It looks like that's Cameron Lestard in the 54. He started deep in the field, and it looks like he's already having engine troubles with that thing. We'll see if he can get back out there. He's not gone to the garage just yet, but we'll see what happens here.
That's unfortunate. Like you said, he started deep in the field. He actually started right next to the 33 of Justin Henry with Elijah Ackerhouse right there. Elijah, that's very uncharacteristic of him. I mean, he hasn't had a stellar season, but he's not. But it's certainly not looking good to be back there, and certainly even worse for Lessard to be on pit road this early.
Right now, looking at Nick Breeding in 99, who I believe is about to be passed by Jared Shank, or he might get that position back. We'll just have to see. That 85 looks like he's going to get past the 99 here. If he doesn't, that might open the door for Ryan Arnold to also make a move on one of those guys should they make a mistake. But Jared Shank, it looks like he's going to fall behind Nick Breeding. That was about the longest battle we've seen all day, and it probably will be the longest one going out of that turn 2, going into turn 3 straight. That seems to be the opportune time to make passes here.
And you saw there, David Richardson there trying to see if he could capitalize until Shank slipped backwards a little bit. But you know, this is a really good run for Shank. That one racing team has been really needing some good runs across, every series they participate in, and this is definitely a good one. Not top 10 run, but baby steps, honestly.
As we look back up front, it's still Paul Villalobos leading David Metzke, and he has extended that gap quite significantly. This could be a good run for him. This could be a winning run for him, but he has to make it all the way to the end with that car. And he's got David Metzke and Eric DeMatz right behind them. They've both been historically really good in the past. We'll just have to see if they can catch before the end of this.
Yeah, they've got time. They've sorted themselves out a little bit. Obviously, Metzke's got the biggest chance right now, not having to deal with anyone pressuring him at the moment. But he's also got a big gap to cover. And I mean, some of the turns it looks like he's going to recover it, but the 66 stretches it back out in other parts of the track, which that's normal for a place like this.
Here's Here's Ayrton Mack in the 16th, settled into third. You may remember the race at Hawaii where he looked like he was going to be winning that race ahead of a hungry DJ Curtis, but an engine failure put an end to that. He's hoping for a really good race this week, especially when Charlotte and Hawaii have not gone well for him.
Yeah, he's definitely having the struggles of the post championship run because this. I mean, he hasn't had a horrible season, but when you have a bad streak of runs, no matter what, who you are or who you drive for, it can really mess with you. And for someone to go from a high like winning a championship like the Max did to struggling like this in the middle of the next season, it's got to be buckling him a bit.
Yeah, it does. And also for Ashton Blevins, the modified champion, he's been doing really good lately. He got a best career finish, I believe, of second at Hawaii, holding off a hard-charging David Metzke. Right now, he's on point for another top 10, as is Brian Arnold, who's pressuring Blevins right now for ninth. And also, guys having really good runs. The Roberts Racing teammates of Angel Gutierrez and Riley Cooper. And speaking of which, I do believe Gutierrez has gotten past Cooper. That's for the 11th spot.
That is correct, and I couldn't help but notice behind Jared Shank, the car that's behind him now is no longer the 10 of Richardson. It is now that 3 of Chris Lattimore, as Richardson got passed by him and has slipped back almost into the clutches of the 31 of Boston Shaw.
Team Duke, by the way, has really been needing a good run, and it looks like they're getting it here with Braden Varga, and somewhat of a good run for Chris Lattimore, who has also not had a good string of races lately, especially at Hawaii, where I believe he got crashed out of that race. But right now, we're still looking at Brian Arnold, who's been having a reasonable season, but probably not the season we've been expecting for that 01 team.
And you wouldn't expect this to be what he'd be dealing with, but there's still plenty of races left. Just like there's enough races left for something to change with the FPM domination, or near domination, I should say. And there's plenty of time. There's plenty of time for Arnold and others who have not had the greatest of seasons to this point to turn it around.
Now looking at AJ Zhao in the 98, another driver who has been impressed lately as well. He's been a driver who's been impressing a lot lately, especially at Charlotte, where he got a best career finish as second, and then followed that up, I believe, with the top 10 at Hawaii. And so he's been really good. He's been doing really good lately. We're looking now at Angel Gutierrez, who's pressuring the 01 for a top 10 spot.
Yeah. No, Arnold was trying to get the Blevins. You talked about it a little bit ago, but he's fallen off a little bit, and if he falls back too far, that 72 is going to be right there. I've mentioned this. I mentioned this before. Gutierrez has had some really good runs. He's had some really great results. It's just he can't always he's one of those drivers that just can't always put together the greatest runs. Consistency is key, and he's kind of had that. I don't remember his exact stats up to this point off the top of my head, but he's definitely proven himself, and I would definitely have to say he may still feel like he has to prove himself as we scoot back through the field, but it's definitely. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're looking at the Dodgers here right now, who are still trapped. I think they're all outside of top 15 at this point, but we saw Noah Hart there. We saw Cody Lohman. They're not having good runs by their standards, but we're now looking deeper in the field. We can see where all the drivers are. And here's one driver I wanted to focus on: Aiden Clare in the 00, and also Nagatsugu Kanauka in the 7. And Alexander Rowe looks like it's had a little bit of a run in. We did hear of an incident that occurred a little bit ago. We'll have to check that out after the race, but. Going back to Game Breaker Racing, the 00 and the 7, I don't think this is the kind of season they wanted or ever really expected to this year.
Well, no, it's for a team like Game Breaker. They've had a lot of great success in Superstar and Nitro. But this has certainly not been one of those stretches for them. As we continue to look at that door damage on the 14, but yeah, honestly,
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
go
was under
ahead.
pressure from Tegan Fox earlier, who has fallen back now. But that 14 car and the Eclipse Group in general, they had a really good showing at Hawaii, mostly due to them avoiding the attrition that happened there. And both cars got inside the top 20 by the end of it, and Alexander Rowe even got a top 15 out of it, which I'm sure he was absolutely proud of. But they seem to be doing okay here, but that door damage might be affecting Alexander Rowe. As we see, Cameron Lassard has gotten back on track, but he's a couple laps down now. They had to keep that car on pit road to repair whatever damage there was to that. But they are still running. They could get some positions here if something might happen to one of these other drivers. But when you look back in the front of the field, it's still Paul Villalobos leading, who has extended that gap to just over 2 seconds ahead of David Meskey, Derek DeMax, and DJ Curtis, who are all lined astern, as well as the rest of the top 10. Looks like, though they are getting a little bit more spread out, as Alex Turdish is putting pressure on AJ Zhao. That would be to the 7th position.
And that would be big because, like I said, he wants to rebound. He wants to get back up there. And honestly, he may be mad about his run-ins with Brandon Smith, but I think the best kind of payback you can give to an opponent who you feel might have slighted you is to try to outrace them, to do better than them at the end of the race. He's got to get past the 98 and get back up there to the 92 to do that, but who knows? There might be some kind of circumstance that allows him to actually get a better result than the guy who unintentionally messed up his weekend last week.
He's got a lot of work to do, though he is pretty experienced on the road courses. We have seen that 57 can really ring that thing around these road courses, as he demonstrated for at least a little bit at Hawaii before his day got messed up. He still recovered to a top 15, though, so he's shown that he really knows how to get around here. But right now, that 57 probably not the way he wants it, and maybe not the 01 of Brian Arnold either, because neither one of them have been able to make progress here.
They haven't fallen off either, so that's definitely a testament to the fact that while yes, they haven't made progress, but I would say that the folks at Fair & Co. at least made sure that they could put up a good fight against anybody who tries to take spots from them.
Right now we're watching the 01 circulate around here. He's still sitting inside the top 10, which is a good spot for him. But right now, up ahead, it looks like Ashton Dobbins might be putting pressure on Yannick Turzic, and he's going to try to make a move here. If he can do it down this stretch, that's probably one of the best times to do it. If he can carry that momentum into turn 1, but if he doesn't get clear here, that 57 could come back on the outside here, and indeed he does. He pulled out ahead here.
Yeah, but the 77 has not been completely cleared, so Blevins still has a shot here, although it looks like he's going to have to tuck back in line for the moment as Arnold tries to take a move on him.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does, but it might not work because he's on that inside lane. But if he can carry the momentum through here, and if he might even have a little driving help with Gutierrez to try to get that position. But right now, Ashton Blevins is clear as they go into turn 3. And he does fall back in line, so that 77 keeps the 9th position ahead of Ryan Arnold. And right now, yeah, Ryan Arnold's still in 10th, and he's still under pressure from Miguel Gutierrez. And right behind them, Riley Hooper is also caught up to this battle.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things that can happen at any track, but it can especially be a problem at a road course. You get a car that it might be good, but it's not as good as some of the cars that are behind them, and it just causes a bottleneck and it holds up everyone behind him. But at times we've seen it. If they get lined up close enough, the first car in line behind can push them out of the way, then the whole chain of cars can just drive on by. But we'll have to wait and see as we look at Richardson again if that can happen.
Yeah, Richardson is probably the 3rd, 4th right now of the Fair & Co. cars. He's been having not the best season we can just say in that 10 car. The past 2 races I believe he's been involved in separate incidents, although I think Charlotte he was able to still recover, but Hawaii was certainly not a good race for him, or really for much of Fair & Co. save for Alex Turzic, which is an absolute stretch. But here we look at Chris Lattimore, and like I said before, that 3 car has been really leading a good run. He's running, I think, just inside the top 15 right now, but lately he's been was pretty slow at Charlotte, and then like I said, crashed out of Hawaii. And he and Braden Varga didn't really have good races there either. But Braden Varga right now, just inside the top 5, holding up Brandon Smith. He might be on track to have a good run, which he definitely needs after that Hawaii shenanigans.
Oh, absolutely. There's quite a few drivers who could do with a good result after Hawaii, but not everybody gets that wish, unfortunately. But so they're just going to take every position they can, or in the case of the Night of Varga, hold off everybody who's trying to take positions from them that they can.
We're just past the halfway point here as we look through the field on our ticker. A couple of names that stand out. The first of the Dodges right now, I believe, is the 99 of Nick Breeding, but also right behind him, just inside the top 20, we saw Hayes Green, Fidel Iglesias, and I believe Noah Hart in the 18. So the Dodgers, they're not really in the picture, though they are kind of lurking back there. As we go through the field, we see it looks like Ludovic Charette had to go to the garage after it looks like damage to his car. That might have been related to the incident we heard about earlier. We'll have to see afterwards. But Alexander Rowe is also slow, so that might have something to do with it. But right now, it's still Paul Villalobos leading David Meske and Eric DeMax. He's still got a 2-second gap, but that gap might be starting to go down because David Meske may have actually found something in that 29.
Yeah, he was like 2.1, 2.2 seconds, but now it's back down to almost 2 seconds even. But who knows? Maybe he's just pacing himself because he knows he's got a gap and he doesn't want to push the issue too far. And you see right here, he gained a big gap. He grew that again.
Yep. Yes, indeed, he did. That might be due to a mistake from David Meske at the max, or it just might be that the 66 has a lot of speed right now. We will have to see, but I believe the 16 has closed in on him as we watch the battle between Yadis Terzic and AJ Zhao for position. If we go back, here's Nick Breeding in the 99.
And it looks like as we look at Fidel Iglesias, we talked about him, he had a stellar debut last time out, and well, this is definitely the contrast, but this is the other side of Welcome to One-Up competition, and sitting right there behind Hayes Green. It's not a terrible run, but this is a reminder of this young rookie. It's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows and good results. As I looked up ahead, I noticed that Richardson got passed by Shaw.
I believe he had. That moves to 31 up a position in 16th place, ahead of David Richardson in the 10. And we still continue to look at Fidel Iglesias and going back to the field. Here's Wyatt Jugman in 38, who, if we remember correctly, all the Jeff Bolton cars, including this car, all had separate incidents. In fact, this was the car that Paul Villalobos wrecked and was subsequently got the 66 a penalty. He's probably hoping for better today, especially after that big wreck that took him out of the race. Here's Nagasubu Kanaka in the 7th. He's just trying to make laps, I think, at this point. He's settled into a rhythm right now, but he's a player all toward the back of the field right now. They're just not having good runs, honestly, by their standards.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You see Claire right there behind the 13 and the 5 of Brie Blair there, the other That One Racing Team car, the 5. Another quiet day for several of these drivers, which, given how some road races can go, I'd say they're pretty content to continue that, even if they'd rather be higher up in the field.
Absolutely, but all these guys are line to stern right now. They've all been in their own separate battles going into this. As we look at a few cars who have dropped back in the field, Will Parrish in the 17 is one in particular to watch out for. As we look at Ironhouse in the 8. The 8, it seems like the 8 car by his standards has had a bit of an off season. He's been outside the top 30 a bunch of times, and Charlotte and Hawaii were definitely no help to him.
Oh, absolutely not. And it's one of those things. I've said it before. You can have a good start to season, you can have a slump in the middle, and then you can rebound, or it could go anywhere. We've seen that in the entire existence of this league. it's really tough to see as we look at Justin Henley in the 33. He's just having a quiet day, which after what happened at Hawaii, I'm sure he'd be grateful for that because he had a bit of a crumpled nose at the end of the day.
Yeah, but he was able to credit to him, he was able to soldier that car home, even though it did go a lap down towards the end of the race. This 33
Right at the
car has been
very end, actually.
this 33 car. I'm sure you probably know, Dave. It's had a bit of a turbulent year so far with rotating drivers left and right. But it seems like Justin Henley has really gotten settled into this. Obviously not at Hawaii, since he crashed out of that one. But right now in this race, he's having a bit of a quiet day. He's just making laps at this point, as I believe Alexander Rowe has also headed for that damage. That's probably why he's so far back. In fact, he's over a minute behind the leader. And Cameron Lassard is right behind him. He could make a pass on him, even though it isn't for position.
And it looks like they have repaired that damage, and now he's just gonna log laps and hope maybe somebody has a problem up ahead to maybe regain a lost point or two. But as we look at the 66, who seems to have, he's definitely lost some time to second and third. Who, I don't know. It's almost like they decided that on the straighters at least they need the aero advantage of each other to have a shot at the 66, which it may work, it may not. We're gonna see.
We'll have to see, but that 2-second gap is now just gone under 2 seconds. And David Messi and Eric DeMax are now line to turn. They might be helping each other here, but DeMax is not making it easy for Messi as he's trying to fight with the 29 for that position.
And he's fighting for that position, doing everything he can to catch him, but it's not easy, especially because we know that 29 is just as good as that 16, if not a little better in some corners.
Yeah, especially this one, the carousel. As we look back through the field. Actually, hang on. We might have a problem here. We're hearing there's an incident with the 9 of Braden Varga. I believe something has happened to him. We'll have to look back and see where he might be in the field. As we look through here, I believe the cameraman right now is trying to find the 9 car, and there he is.
Oh no!
Billowing out of the 9 car, he's blowing engine chain.
Yeah, we've talked about what he needed. I feel like the commentator's curse has struck again. Whether it has or not, this is definitely not what Varga needed.
And definitely not what Team Duke needed. They now don't have any cars in the top 10. The 9 car was their best shot at a good result, but it looks like that has gone up in smoke for the 9 car.
Yeah, unfortunately, quite literally, it's a shame. Now he's got to try to limp it around and hope that he doesn't create too many issues trying to get back to pit road.
He's trying to, but I believe he's still got Alexander Rowe and Cameron Lassard behind them. They're gonna have to try to navigate past this 9 car, and there they are indeed. They're gonna have to try to make their way past, but the 9 car should be able to limp it back. Like I said, we have no cautions here, so that's probably not going to mean anything. But what it does mean for Brandon Smith is that he has now advanced into the top 5.
Oh, even better. It looks like he's going to be able to salvage, maybe even regain. I would say he's going to definitely gain back the points he was penalized. And we know that Villalobos stands a chance right now, but that may. I noticed while we were watching Varga that, and looking at the interval, the gap has shrunk even further between Meski and Villalobos as we continue to look at Zhao and Terzic.
That gap is now 1.2 seconds, so we could see some late race drama here between Paulo Lobo, David Meski, and Eric DeMax, especially the top 3 cars, showing that they've all got probably the best cars all day. So some of these guys could play spoiler here, especially these guys who have now benefited from Braden Varga falling out of the picture. As we watch David Meski, he's trying to close down Paul Villalobos, and indeed, you can see. Oh, as we see, Braden Varga has made it back to the pit lane, but I don't think that 9 car is coming back out. He's probably done for the day. But we can see that David Meski now can see the gap between he and Villalobos. If he sees that it's closing, he probably smells blood in the water.
He's got to be queuing up the Jaws theme in his head right now. Just dun dun. The closer he gets, The fact that he can see Villalobos going up the hill rather than having to wonder how far over the hill he already is. You see, the gap has shrunk by about a tenth this time, but it's still closing.
It it is indeed, and Paul Villalobos has got to be sweating right now. He's got to put on some good, consistent, clean laps, while this 29, 16, and 22 are all starting to bear down on him. Although DJ Curtis, it looks like, might be starting to drop out of this battle.
Yeah, and I just haven't noticed looking at the top 10 scoring positions. It is a Roberts Racing bookending here of the top 10. You got Villalobos leading, trying to keep his chances at joining the growing list of trifecta winners. And then you got Gutierrez, who was able to take advantage of Vargas' misfortune to gain a top 10 spot, essentially with little to no effort. Just rounding it out right there for Roberts Racing as we continue to watch the middle of the top 10 fight for position.
Yeah, I think this is the fight right now for all the marbles here, as AJ Zhao is currently leading that train of 5, running in the 6th spot. Yannick Surzic, Ashton Blevins are both up here, 6th and 7th, or no, 7th and 8th, sorry, with Brian Arnold now in 9th, and Angel Gutierrez in the 10th position. They're all lined to stern, and we could see those positions change towards the end, though. These tires are definitely worn out by this point, and I'm sure the fuel tanks are getting low. These cars are probably getting harder and harder to drive. These guys may just choose to settle in and keep the positions they have, especially since for Turzic and Arnold, these are pretty good positions to be in.
Well, absolutely. Like I mentioned already, Turzic is just looking to rebound from Hawaii. I don't think he really even cares if he beats anyone else that he feels like might have slighted him. He just wants this finish. He wants to have a good result. Arnold too. I'm definitely gonna say these two have really shown up. And honestly, I gotta give kudos to Ashton Blevins as well. Ran second, finished second at Hawaii, held off some of the best of the season so far, and now he's backing up that second place finish with potentially another top 10.
Absolutely, that 77 has been impressive since Charlotte, where he didn't really have that good of a day there, but then he rebounded at Hawaii, and that was definitely pretty good for him. I'm sure Christian Vargas had to be impressed with that. But Angel Gutierrez, we saw, was all over the back of Brian Arnold. That 72 may still have something at the end. As does this 57, if he can try to find a way past AJ Zhao. He's all over the back bumper and could try to make a move here in turn 3. We'll just have to see.
Absolutely, this is going to be fun to watch. It's probably more frustrating from inside the 57, but you know, if he can get one more position, that's more points that he didn't have before. So he's going to have to keep trying. But I think Zhao's going to be defending with everything he has.
Absolutely, that 98 has sure been impressive since we got back. I believe we got a top 10 in Hawaii, and he's aiming for another one here at Road America. But he's holding off. He's trying to hold off Yannick Surzic as much as he can. As we go back up here, we see that this gap has closed down to a second now between Villalobos and Metzke. I think Metzke's gonna have a shot at him before the end, but like I said, these cars are getting harder to drive. They're probably gonna want to take shots at each other, but with the way these cars are handling, it's gonna be tough.
And you got to be careful. You mentioned the tire wear. If one of these tires are starting to get, you push each other too hard, you might end up one or both in the grass, and that's both of you losing a bunch of spots.
The match closing on Metzke right now, we can see there. As we look back at Ashton Blevins, he's making a move here on Turzic. Turzic actually does run wide in that 57, and that's probably going to gift the spot to Ashton Blevins in 77. That door opened wide open, and he didn't need a second opportunity. 77 has cleared Yannick Turzic for I believe the 7th spot.
Yeah, that's a move. That's a power move right there. Blevins looking to back up his runner-up finish at Hawaii, which, you know, every position that he can gain will further back up the reminder that, yeah, he dropped down to modifieds and then won the championship there, but he's back to remind everybody that Revolution Racing didn't pick him just to ride around. He's here to get top 5s, top 10s, and ultimately win.
And he's sure getting that done today. He passed out his Turgich in probably the best way he could by basically being gifted the spot. As Turgich just then he was showing signs of weakness. He had to face pressure from Ryan Arnold, who was also having to face pressure from Angel Gutierrez, and that could be getting it into the driver's head, especially since we only have 3 laps to go. The way these cars are handling, the way that these guys have to be wore out, it's going to be tough heading into these final few laps. We'll see if any of these guys can keep their positions now, especially since Turgich going wide. That's going to have a lot of people thinking about stuff.
And meanwhile, someone who's doing a lot of thinking right now, actually 2 who are doing a lot of thinking from different perspectives, Villalobos, Meski. I'd add a 3rd perspective as the Max is hoping maybe these 2 will get together and he'll be able to capitalize and get that win that he lost at Hawaii.
8 tenths, probably 6 tenths now is the gap between Villalobos and Meski as the 66 rounds the final corner. He'll be going up the hill in just a second here. We'll be coming to 3 to go here in Hawaii and Road America as Eric DeMax, he's closed that gap and he's now picking up the drive of Villalobos. This could really help him get up to the back of him. We'll see if he can make a move here before the end.
There's now 2 laps to go, actually. And so that's 1 lap less that Meski has to try to do something here to salvage his team's near domination on the season in Nitro to this point. And he is trying. I will say this, whether Meski makes it past Villalobos or not, no matter who the outcome of this growing battle is, they will have earned it.
Absolutely, and for Villalobos, this is the best chance he has to get his first Nitro National Series win. I don't believe he has one up to this point, but he's got to hold off David Metzke and Eric DeMack to do it, and both these drivers are hungry as we enter turn 4, one of the trickiest parts of the track here in this left-right section here at David Metzke. He's trying to make something happen, though he has fallen back a little bit in that 29.
And meanwhile, we look back towards the back of the top 10. See Arnold get a little wide there. That could have opened the door for Gutierrez if that swing had been a little wider, but he was able to gather it back up just in time to salvage that 9th place position.
And these guys are probably going to be holding on to these positions from here. As Eric DeMax now has closed that gap on David Metzke, who's fallen back a little bit on Paul Villalobos. This could be a 29 trying to line up a run here, though I don't think it is because the 29 was slow out of the carousel, and Eric DeMax was absolutely fast.
Yeah, he's all over Metzke now. This could mess with their chances to catch the 66, but if these 2 get to fighting and they start losing time again, that's going to be all Villalobos will need, and he will be smiling under that helmet.
Villalobos rounds the final corner. He's going to come up the hill here. We'll be taking the white flag this time. Paul Villalobos looking for his first career win in the Nitro National Series at Road America. He's got 1 lap to do it, and 2 hungry drivers behind them. If he can hold these guys off here, man, won't that be a celebration for Roberts Racing?
Yeah, and they lost almost 3 tenths there. Well, Metzke did with DeMax a little bit more, but it's going to be all down to how Villalobos, Metzke, and DeMax handle these turns. Who can get through it the best, and who can put down the attack or defense the best? As we go under the Sargento Bridge there, we see the gap has kind of stabilized between the 3 for the moment, but again, I mentioned before, the turns certainly can play an advantage, as we see here, DeMax a little closer to Metzke than he is to Villalobos.
We look back through the field here, we see things have spread out quite a bit among the top 10. I think everybody's just trying to get settled in, but right now for the Farragut team, this could be a good battle between Yais Turzic and Ryan Arnold maybe trying to show Yais Turzic that he too can be a really good road course racer, and he might be trying to take that spot from the 57.
Yeah, that you got to be careful though, because one false move and you're sending your teammate sideways. That's an awkward meeting on Monday you don't want to have. And this right here, Villalobos has just put on a show today, just shown that he wants this so bad. And we mentioned it, his first career Nitro win. He'd be the latest one to join the list of trifecta winners across Superstar, Nitro, and Trucks. And right now, he's looking pretty good.
David Meske running out of opportunities. He only has about a couple more here, but the Max is right behind him. Can he get to Villalobos? He's going to have to make a bonsai move here, but I think he is too far back. As we round the final corner, Roberts Racing is going to be celebrating tonight as at 66 comes up the hill. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Villalobos is a 1-up Nitro National Series winner. He does it in Road America.
Huge congratulations to him. First career Nitro win. First newest addition to the trifecta winner list. But you got to give props to Meske and the Max. They put an effort there at the end, but it was not enough as we continue to watch the rest of the field zip across the line. See some drivers who just held on toward the middle of the field and had an okay day, which many of them, given their seasons, would probably be fine with.
It's Paul Villalobos the victor in Road America. Congratulations to him and for Roberts Racing, who managed to make a sandwich in between the top 10 with first and 10th. Villalobos the winner. David Meske, a hard-earned second place ahead of David Meske in the 16, who rounds out his day in the podium. DJ Curtis finishes 4th and Brandon Smith finishes 5th, so all three FBM cars in the top 5. AJ Dow ends his days in 6th, Action Blevin 7th, Guy Sturgis and Ryan Arnold 8th and 9th, and Angel Gutierrez will round out the top 10 just ahead of his teammate Riley Hooper. Well, James, we only got a single incident to review here, I believe, because we still need to look back at just what happened to, I believe it was Alexander Rowe and Ludovic Charette. Both of those incidents may be related, so we'll have to look back. We got one incident to review here. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Watching Justin Henley here in the 33, we'll have to see what happens. If right in front of him, Aiden Clare runs by and Alexander Rowe. It looks like he got into Aiden Clare, and then Henley got into him. The 33 spins, and Ludovic Charette and Mike White both get collected in that.
No, that's no good. A hard season for Charette continues. This one was definitely not of their making. We'll find a way to get that 11 team back up and running and better than ever in the long run.
This might give us a better angle of what happened. We're watching Ludovic Charette, and things get a little tied up in front of him. We see Henley spin, and he just clips the 33, but I think that might have been enough to break a tow bar. That might have been why the 11 went to the garage.
Yeah, wherever the case, it's never something you want to see, especially when two teammates just happen to end up colliding.
Right behind the Ludovic Charette, we see Wild 33 appears, and there's just nowhere but 58.
Yeah, there were a lot more involved than we thought, but only one ended up not finishing the race. We already know who that was.
Now we watch the track. See what happened in front of him. Aiden Clare did run wide, and Alexander Rowe just both trying to take advantage, but that's how they got together. And Ludovic Charette has nowhere to go against the flip.
Yeah, just following along behind 44, and then all of a sudden there's your teammate. You hate to see that, really.
But that is it for Road America here in the 1-Up Nitro National Series. Congratulations to Paul Villalobos, James, first career win of the season. I'm sure it has to feel good.
Oh, your first career win in any series always feels good. I was fortunate enough that my first career win in 1-Up competition overall was the inauguration of the Truck Series season. But when it comes to Nitro, I can proudly say I'm one of those who Villalobos can join on the list of first-time winners on a road course. So that has got to feel good to be able to go left, right, left, hold off your competition. He definitely earned this one, and I know there are more that he'll be earning in the future.
And definitely good days for David Meske and Eric DeMac to finish second and third. They couldn't defeat Villalobos, but that has got to feel good for the 29, who has now had, I believe, 3 consecutive finishes inside the top 3. That 29 car has shown that he's been bad fast, and now that he's in the top 3 in points, he's going to have more to prove here, especially since his competition right now is his 2 teammates, DJ Curtis and Brandon Smith.
Oh, absolutely, and it's going to be a real interesting stretch of races for them going forward, because looking at the upcoming races, you got the Milwaukee Mile, an oval versus the 2 road courses we were just on. Oswego, that's a dirt oval. Then back to the road course, in the large circuit oval in Indianapolis, Sebring, Pocono. You got a real interesting stretch here where they can either prove that they are the team to beat, or others could take advantage of the variety coming up and steal the show.
That is especially true for Eric DeMax and a lot of the drivers here who are driving Chevrolets, including Venta and T, uh, Roberts Racing. They could be really having something to prove here, especially against these Fords heading into the rest of the season. But they're gonna have to wait until next time. So from James Ellison and for myself as well, we'll see you next time as we go to Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Mile, just next door from Motor America for the next race. Congratulations to Paul Villalobos on his first win. Will he continue that streak of good luck heading into the mile, or will someone else be able to take that crown? We'll have to find out in we'll have to find out in just over a week. But right now, that is going to do it from us. We'll see you next time.